Morning, everyone. My name is Narayana. I run Aditi Consulting. In case you missed part one of our series on the Great Acceleration Report, let me sort of give you some context and recap. Of course, if you're part of the technology industry, you know the challenges IT leaders are facing can feel really hard and insurmountable. With the digital acceleration and increased budget pressure, companies are really struggling to find really quality talent, build tech teams, and hard to find skill sets to help move their initiatives over the line faster than their competitors. So we were curious to see if we could capture the realities of the IT industry insiders who are facing this on a daily basis. So we went ahead and surveyed over 300 plus business leaders across the country, with companies of different sizes across different verticals to get some inside look. And I have to tell you, we got really some exciting data and insights. We had a part one of the webcast series, which we'll talk in detail in a bit. But for part two of this series on this Great Acceleration Report, we're going to talk about, I have Britni Sehgal, our VP of Marketing. Britni, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this with me. I'm excited.
Of course. So, Britni, before I sort of started planning for this event and slightly tangent, a lot of good memories came to me about how sort of we worked this together. And really, this is your baby. You're sort of the brainchild behind this. I sort of wondered, how did you even come up with this name, Great Acceleration, particularly in the light of the fact the last 2 years, I recall, most of us talked about great resignations and digital acceleration. So where did this great acceleration pivot came about?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think, as a marketer, you're always trying to find the hook that's going to bring everybody in. But when we started reviewing the results and just started seeing what these 300 IT professionals were saying to us, the theme just kept coming up. Fast. We need things fast, whether it's we need to accelerate our spend, we need to accelerate our tool stack, we need to accelerate our digital strategy, we need to accelerate our hiring efforts. Everything just was around this idea of momentum and really feeling the moment that we're all in. We are in really unprecedented times, and 2020 really kicked off what nobody expected. There was this interesting thing that happened at the beginning of the pandemic where companies sort of recoiled and weren't really sure what the future was going to mean, and if we could keep our talent in the door, and what it all was going to actually amount to. And what we quickly realized was, this is the time, and we actually need to invest more, and we need to bring in the talent faster. And so you see companies extending their budgets, you see them really extending their headcount and trying to bring in resources that maybe they hadn't ever done before, because everything is just moving faster. So it just came as part of our data as we started to dive deep into the results, and it just stuck.
Awesome. So I know you sort of coined this term. We talked about how do we really drive value to our customers, and really, you went back with your teams to come to sort of this report. Walk me through what sort of went behind. Let's talk about the why before we dive into the data. What sort of triggered from all of these brainstorming sessions? And I know you're working behind the scenes with our prospects and customers and the likes and our sales teams. So from a marketing side, sort of what triggered the why behind this report?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. We are an organization that prides ourselves in coming up with solutions that make sense for our clients. And the way we do that is to really understand who they are and what's going to move the needle for them. We're not going to ever come up with a solution that we give to everybody. It just doesn't work that way. And so how can we give solutions if we don't really take a pulse on what's happening in the industry? And as a marketer, you just sort of get obsessed with data anyway, and you are already obsessed with communication. So you want to talk to people, you want to hear from them and see what they're experiencing through their own eyes, walk a day in their shoes, because then that can help inform the strategy that you're going to create for them. And so how do you do that in mass? Well, you just go out to the market and you ask people the questions that are on your mind and that are on our engineering team's mind, that are on the minds of our clients that are talking to our reps every day. And we really wanted to understand, where are they investing their dollars? Is there some fear? Is there some challenges? What are those challenges? And how can we help be a partner to solve for those challenges? What is it that we can do that's going to help our clients accelerate and move the needle forward in their organization, but also at the same time, where are our candidates? What are they looking to do? Who do they want to work for? What do they want to work on? And it's just it's a way to understand the landscape end to end. And so we went out and we asked those questions and we uncovered some really, really insightful results.
Lovely. So Swati, and for some of the viewers, Swati Bhatnagar, our VP of Project Solutions, she and I had really dove deep into the data from this report, and I'm referring to some of those that she and I discussed. Some broad, really 5 themes. What, Britni, what did you find interesting or surprising from this data?
It's an interesting question because I've spent so much time with this report. So I'm like, oh, there's so many things. But really the thing that stood out to me is the area on cybersecurity. I think if we look at the data, folks were saying one of the hardest to hire for skill sets is cybersecurity. And yet at the same time, a majority of respondents said they felt like their companies were well positioned to identify and deal with any sort of security threat, either current or future. And so it's interesting because it's how can both things be true? And maybe they are in some cases, but it just seems to me if you're struggling to find that talent that can help build a cyber resiliency plan for you and really make sure that you are cyber attack ready and your cybersecurity is top where it needs to be, that it maybe wouldn't be talent that you were actively sourcing for because you already have it. So it was an interesting juxtaposition that came out that sort of gave me pause. And we actually have a white paper coming out soon that talks all about cybersecurity and how to build cyber resiliency. And a lot of it has to do with the data that we uncovered in this report. So we're excited to share that. I think the other thing that sort of surprised me, maybe I shouldn't be as surprised, but it still gets me, is that women are still so underrepresented in technology. We asked our respondents.
I know that's a topic close to your heart. So
it's a topic really close to my heart. And so we're making progress. We are seeing more women on digital teams and engineering teams than we have in the past, but it's still slow. And so you have this need for finding that talent and bringing talent in the door and hire, and yet women are still very underrepresented when it comes to looking at the teams that are being built out. And so that one was an interesting one because I think there are a lot of initiatives and great programs that are looking to solve that. But I also think that there's an answer to the talent problems that a lot of companies are facing if they just start to look at some underrepresented talent communities and go source from there versus just the standard sourcing methodologies that we all are so aware of. And perhaps now we need to shift strategy on a little bit.
I know, like I said, this is a topic that's very passionate for you, knowing that internally, even at Aditi, you're leading some of those, women and diversity forums. Maybe we should separately just talk about a webcast series just for that, for another time. But staying on the talent, you brought up a very interesting topic on talent. So we know a lot of companies, of course, with digital acceleration and the need for, staying ahead of the curve. What sort of sits at the center of all of this is really talent, tech teams, right? And that sort of makes the difference. So companies are really taking different approaches. What are you seeing in terms of how companies should bring together the equation of finding talent, total talent management, workforce solutions to still sort of drive their digital innovation and transformation? Where do you sort of see from this report and plus, from your conversations with customers?
Mm-hmm. I think it's just that, as you mentioned, we now know that companies are taking more of a hybrid approach when they're building out teams or finding talent. So it's a mix of onshore options, offshore, and nearshore. You're now seeing for the first time, all three really have a seat at the table. And I think it's the same way that we should be approaching how we go out to the market to find talent. It is, can we create programs internally at organizations that really cultivate talent from the ground up? So speaking back to women in technology, is there a way that we can hire a lot of women entry level and cultivate them and give them an opportunity to keep advancing in their careers in technology? And can we look at underrepresented talent communities, veterans? We know that veterans are massively underrepresented. Women returning from the workforce, men returning from the workforce after having a break. COVID forced a lot of parents in general, or people that may be taking care of elderly folks that they, are in their family, or people that maybe were sick, that had to take time away from their careers, that are now in a position that maybe they want to come back. So how can companies actually open the door for that and go find those resources? And I think it just starts with who you partner with as your talent resource, and where you can actually make an impact in the communities that you not only have headquarters in or offices in, but that surround where you have representation, and really just maybe throwing out the old playbook of how to do things and starting to consider taking people that, maybe don't have a traditional career background or what you would consider being traditional career background, and taking a chance and opening your doors and creating programs and opportunities for them.
And I see, and I know at Aditi, you're also deeply involved in sort of building the customized model for our customers with sort of talent and team beyond boundaries concept, which also, by the way, is a great concept that I know our teams are leading. What are you seeing when it comes to building teams onshore, offshore, nearshore, and sort of those combinations?
Mm-hmm. I think, we are a prime example of that, right? We are truly a global company, and it's not global in the sense of this office is going to operate this way and this one's going to operate this way. We are truly a global company here. And so we all operate together. And I think we're seeing a lot of our clients do that same thing, where you're having calls with folks in different time zones because it's just not a barrier anymore. We're all connected all the time. And whatever shifted in us in the pandemic, of where we felt so disconnected from each other because we couldn't physically be close, we've started to shift and make up for that by connecting via video. And so the calls aren't just a call on your phone anymore. It's really seeing someone and seeing them every day on video, and just making sure that, the method of communication is open. And I just feel like the world has exploded with collaboration, and new ideas are being brought to the forefront, and things are just really transforming because we've taken away those barriers and we've started to look at it entirely differently. We haven't looked at geography as a barrier to what we can achieve and what we can accomplish since 2020 happened. We really haven't. Those old rules and the way that we used to play are gone. We are saying, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, as long as you get your work done, as long as you're a team player, as long as you communicate effectively, we're going to actually make some magic happen. And I just think, we did it at Aditi. We continue to do it. We do it really well because we're people first. And I'm seeing a lot of our clients follow that same method. And you're just seeing the teams come together in a really empowering and somewhat magical way, because great things are happening.
I love it. So global talent and global teams beyond boundaries. So what, Britni, as we wrap, what do you think we can expect in the report in the coming near future? I don't know when you plan to do the next one. What can we expect for viewers in the future?
Yeah, so this was definitely our inaugural report. We're planning on doing this every year now. So every February, we hope to provide as robust data as we were able to this year. I think some of the things that we'll see next year is, again, more of a shift of that hybrid approach of not one way is the only way. How can we actually make sure that we're looking at all different areas that we can source talent from? I think what we'll also see is budgets continue to increase. I think a lot of clients and a lot of organizations are figuring out how they can double down on their efforts to accelerate their digital transformation. And maybe they already have a really robust, amazing digital strategy, but what are some ways we can augment that digital strategy to move it faster, get it over the line? We're seeing emerging technology all day, every day. But I think something that we don't always think about, we get really excited about that shiny new object, but we don't also think about the fact that with the cybersecurity attacks on the rise and with data being such a hot topic among regulators, what that's actually going to look like for businesses long term. Are we going to start to see more rules and regulations come out because of these emerging trends of technology? Probably. And so I think some of that's going to be represented in the data next year. I think maybe cybersecurity will continue to be a top challenge for many organizations, especially if it is still a hard to find skill set to hire for. But I think companies are going to have to get a lot more agile and faster about how they build their cyber resiliency if they want to counteract something like that, because we know it's on the rise. And when you hold data and you have a lot of data in your organization, you have to protect it. So I think we'll see a lot of resources still being thrown at that because it will continue to be a challenge in the future.
Lovely. I can't wait for that report. We can't wait. Britni, great talking to you. I know I learn every time, even through this, mini chat, brief chat, I've learned a lot. I'm sure you've thrown a lot of good perspectives. I know many of us at Aditi do. What should we have our viewers, if they need to find more details, tuning in today to learn, or how can they help reach out to you and get more sort of access to this report? Give us your final blessing and words.
Yeah, so definitely go to our website first, aditiconsulting.com. Our resources are there. We have a great blog that we're updating twice a month, sometimes more. We have a lot of topics that have surfaced in this report that we are building additional content for, including infographics. As I mentioned, we have this great white paper coming out on cybersecurity and building cyber resiliency. We have a webinar coming up on this week, but it will be on demand on our website as well. So we can always be reached via our website. Personally, I can be reached on LinkedIn. Definitely follow along on our social channels on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You will learn a lot, and we try to provide not only really rich, robust resources and great content, but also just a peek into our organization and who we are. And we showcase our people because they're the heartbeat of what we do. And so if you aren't looking for me, you can definitely find somebody else in the organization because we're all there, we're all represented, and none of us are going anywhere.
Britni, thanks for the nuggets. I hope we provided some value for our viewers. For more details, like Britni said, please refer our website. Britni, pleasure talking to you. Thanks for the chat.
Thank you, Raj. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Okay, bye.